Welcome to the first instalment in the Board Whisperer series. The purpose of this series is for me to share some of my experience in sitting on boards or working exclusively with boards over the last 12 years. In particular, I want to draw out some really contemporary topics and tips for boards. So the first topic is about board benchmarking. Benchmarking can be really useful for organisations to assess their performance relative to their peers. But when it comes to board performance evaluations, I'm convinced from facilitating over 150 board evaluations that benchmarking has got more disbenefits than benefits. So why is that so? Well, to start with, in order to benchmark something and benchmark a board and its performance, you've got to ask exactly the same survey questions of each director. The problem with that is it doesn't allow the survey to be nuanced to the particular issues and context of the board and how it's operating. Secondly, when you ask directors to complete a survey and you tell them that the responses are going to be used to benchmark their performance relative to their peers, there's a strong risk that you're going to get bias in responses. And in our experience, that bias is usually a positive rather than a negative bias. And of course, the object of a board evaluation is to work on your areas for improvement. And so to work on them, you need to identify them. And the third area where I think it's problematic using benchmarking is really what you want to do is get out of a board performance evaluation your identified areas for improvement. And that requires a more nuanced and tailored evaluation methodology, which a benchmarking survey doesn't allow. So what's the solution to some of those issues? How do we best address them? Well, the first thing is to work out why are we doing a board evaluation? What issues do we need to address and what do we want to get out of it? And then developing a process that's a lot more nuanced, that enables some discussion between directors and a facilitator, and also with executives, because it's really useful to see what executives think of how the board and how it performs. Looking at the board's performance relative to an accepted good governance standard is a good way to identify gaps and areas for improvement. And then importantly, once you've identified the areas for improvement, think about the actions that you can take as a board to work on those particular issues. Importantly, those actions need to be documented in a written action plan, and they need to stay on the board's agenda until all of the actions have been implemented. This is a much more productive approach in our experience to assist boards perform their functions better.